What's actually your like best all-time books?
I read books in a very interesting way because I don't finish them. Like, I never read a book from the beginning till the end. I start in the middle, in the beginning, at the end. I just chop through that. I really like doing it. And I
But if they're
love
really
books.
good.
Nothing will engage me for the whole book,
Interesting.
especially on business books. But I like the ones that you can open them, take a few, like get inspired about something really quickly. So when they're structured in a way that you can, from the table of content, know exactly where you want to go,
Yeah.
read a little bit, and that's it. So I have a lot of books, but I basically go in and out of them a lot. Some books that I will listen from the beginning till the end, not necessarily business books. I don't like novels and stuff. It still always need to have something that give me from a
Exactly.
self-growth point of view. I would say
Yeah.
that's my
I
favorite.
agree with that.
But as I showed you earlier, one of my books I bought recently that I listened to back in the day is Principle, and I just love it because it's a book that allows you to go in and out of it as many times as you want, and it just have a lot of principles that can help you progress in business, and I really like that. I like any book about leadership. I love Simon Sinek. I love all of his books. Again, didn't read all of them from the beginning to the end, but I do like. I would say that probably I read all of them from the beginning on the end to the end by now. But yeah, I just like to flip through them and just take nuggets.
Yeah. Fair. I do
So
the
anyone
same.
that structure his book in that way, I like and
I
buy
no,
that.
I do read like all of them, but that's why Roy laugh at me all the time that I take like a small book. I say small, like not more than 200 pages, but it will take me a month. And it will take me a month just because in every spot that I'm feeling inspired, I will stop, I will market it,
Yeah, I
I
do
will
the
write
same.
that down. I will do a summary, or I will write down in my diary. How can I implement that in my life? Or right now, how can I change things
Yeah.
in my day?
Yeah, I do the same. So for me,
Okay.
books are self-help. So I will use them to learn. I will use them to see other
Exactly.
people's opinions and experience and
That's
stories.
why I read books.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the same. I admire people that can read long books. Like
Same.
I see my daughter when she read books, it's almost like her meditative state. She just sit down in her room and read hundreds of pages. I can't
Completely
do that.
different experience.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because now in the process of publishing my own book, I realized that from the data that the best-selling business books these days are 150 pages. Because
Not
most
surprised.
business owners cannot read big books unless they're structured in a way that allow you to go in and out.
Yeah.
So like the principal book, I think it's around 500 pages, right? But you can go in and out as many times as you
Yeah.
want. It's not like a like a book you can't take down, but you can always refer to and come back to, especially in business that sometimes as you evolve, there is different topics you can look for information
Exactly.
for, and yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So, welcome back to another episode of Behind Business Doors. I'm Noah, and next to me
I'm
is
Shiran.
my co-host Shiran. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. And today's topic, we're going to talk about how to hire the right people for your business, and also how to let go
Of people.
of people that does not contribute to your mission.
I have to admit, people is one of my favorite topic, right? Because
Yeah.
I believe that people is what make it or break it in business.
True.
Like no matter how much advance we have with our tools and softwares and procedures
And budget.
but it doesn't really matter. People is what make it and break it.
Fair.
It's what can make a team be exceptional and what can completely destroy a team. I worked in toxic environments and I also worked in amazing environments, and obviously employed many people over the years. And it's amazing to see how it's so easy to work with people if you really know them well. And if you don't really understand them, no matter how skilled they are, they might be the wrong fit for your business. And
Right.
you don't know how to I guess, use that or unleash the human potential
Right.
in that specific
So I completely
area.
agree, and I think like our audience will agree with that. That obviously a good group of employees are going to be the best option for business to survive and to thrive. But how do you do that? How do you start hiring the right people when you don't have a huge budget, or I don't know, like a brand that already making people I don't know, like to look appeal to work in your business. So it's
Yes.
hard, at least at the beginning, to find the right people that also want to work for you.
Yeah. To be honest, it's a very complex question, right?
Right.
Because there is so many different
I
layers
ask
of
you.
that. I look at it as someone that used to run a small medium business. There is a lot of things that you can offer that big corporates can't. A lot of people, you will hear the common phrase, "Oh, I don't want to work for corporate," right? Because it's like coming, put the 9 to 5 tickets and go. There's a lot of people that are happier to work in smaller companies. They have the ability to innovate. They have the ability to influence. And small businesses have that ability to offer something that the bigger corporations can't, which is, I think, I found over the years, one of the main ways for me to attract really good, high skilled talent in I guess below market rate
Yeah.
a little bit, because we're a small business. Sometimes, if you are a CFO of a big company, you
Yeah.
can earn up to around 300K a year, right? But in the small business, you'll be lucky to get the 100,
Exactly.
130 max, and that's already a medium size.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the most important thing is, first of all, for the owner to figure out what is that I need. And I think considering 70% of our businesses in Australia and pretty much around the world, which I don't know the right percentage, but it's small businesses, which mean I'm a hairdresser and I want to open a salon, and
Yeah.
now I'm too busy, so I need a secretary. I can give an example of my sister.
Mm-hmm.
She's a beautician working by herself. Now she's fully booked. She's overworked.
Nice.
She doesn't have time for her social. She doesn't have time for admin.
Yeah, for
So she
sure.
wants to bring a person, right? And this is the moment when you need to, as an owner, need to first of all make a decision with yourself. What is the things you want to delegate? Or if you don't want to delegate it, do you want to duplicate yourself in some way? And it's completely different hiring, right? So the main thing to figure out is, what is that person going to do? Right? What do we just want them to do social media? Then that's awesome, but they need to learn the brand. They need to learn your tone of voice. They need to learn, if you want them to be your CFO, that's fine.
Yeah.
But on top of their skills, they need to also learn the organization.
Right.
Now, hiring people is a very expensive exercise, because no matter how skilled they are, you still need to
Train
teach
them.
them a lot. And that period take around 3 months. So you need to know that. I was listening to a podcast today saying a great business is one that can hire people really quickly and fire people really quickly. Which, to
I
a degree, I
disagree
will
with that.
agree. To a small degree, I will agree that you need to have a business that have systems and processes in place in order to have the ability to replace someone really quickly in case they leave, because it's only 2 weeks notice, right? Recruitment take a lot more time than that.
Right, but I don't think it's a good like mission, or at least like a good goal to look for, like to hire fast and to drop fast, because I truly believe that at least I thrive in like a business ecosystem that train me and get to know me, and I get to know them, and I know what they respect and what's not, and how to work in my fully motivation like vibes, and it takes time. So
It does, but also in business, time is money. And in a lot of time, you don't have the ability to hire someone for a very long time, to train him for a very long time and wait until they will come out of their shell.
right,
And
but when they come up of their shells, they're much more productive
not
and much
always.
more really.
Not always. No. I think that in a lot of cases, you just had the interview that was really good and well rehearsed and practiced, and then when the time and the resume was amazing, but then the time that I actually came to work for you, you realize that there is a complete misfit.
And
And this
it's
is the moment that you
happened.
just need to just let it go. And I had people that I hired, I thought they would be amazing. Within a month, I realized that was the biggest mistake I've done in my life, and just needed to let them go.
So this is an interesting question. how long will it take for you to understand that it's not just like the beginning, that you will train them and you will teach them and they will get out of their shell. It's like it's just like not a good fit,
Yeah.
because sometimes we do also
Our,
mistakes, because all the beginnings are hard for people. So
Correct. And I would say again that we're all humans, right? And sometimes
exactly.
you may hire the right person and you don't realize you did. And that's happened to me as well. I hired once a 17-year-old boy that I thought that he's like, his job was only to fill up the shelves, but
Yeah.
he came to the interview so with less confident. But because I knew the dad, I was like, okay, I will hire. End up to be the best employee I ever had in my life.
Wow.
Been with me for 10 years, was managing the whole business eventually. And that was a person that, I grew with the business. And he was a better version of me,
Wow.
which is rare in business.
And you couldn't see that at the beginning.
No way.
Okay.
No way. We were always laughing on that, how, he came and he was so like fragile boy. And at the
Yeah.
end, he was running the whole company. At the same time, I had really professional people or young kids as well coming and work, and within a few weeks I realized it's not that. And in there is a few things that play a part, because it's not only the manager and not only the business owner. It depends how big is the company, but if you're an owner and from the beginning you feel like something doesn't sit right, fire him now. Don't give it a chance, because
Really?
eventually that will blow up and you just wasted more and more money. If you have that hunch in the beginning that say, just something doesn't add up for me, something doesn't work, you work with someone and you feel like there is a bit of lack of honesty and stuff like that. I done that mistake many times of letting them in, and it will eventually always fall apart. And I will say even further than that. Let's say you as a business owner hired someone, but then your manager, that they should be part of the recruitment process, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't feel 100%, I will also back them up to fire them straight away. And the reason why is because if the manager doesn't feel 100%, then eventually that will fall apart as well. So every time even if I felt like it was a good fit and I trust the manager and he feel like after a bit of time it was not a good fit, I will not try to give it more chance, because there is that piece of resentment that stay with you, and it's just building and building and building and building, and there is no way to repair that in most cases.
Yeah,
Um,
I can agree with that, but still, it's really hard, as you said. It takes a lot of time to find the right people and to do the interviews, or maybe to give them tasks and
Costs a
to
lot of money as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and money, and then you don't want to give a chance, at least like, I don't know, 3, 4, half a year,
Well,
maybe.
it's
Give a
come
real
back
chance to
to
see him
law, right?
shine.
So in most companies, you have 3 or 6 months probation period. And in
And
this
in
period is
small
enough.
businesses.
Same. That's amount of time that allow you to see the real person that came to work for you. See if they're the right fit, if they fit the culture of the company. One thing that I started to do towards like maybe 6 years after I started my company was to try and evaluate people not just based on the paper. I actually had this really cool software that evaluate them on many different aspects of life. So there was like almost like a psychometry assessment.
Wow.
And they even needed to submit a video. And I
Yeah.
thought if they can't submit a video and they want to work in marketing, then I don't want them anyway, right? So that was checking a lot of the I guess the value system that that person have, and if that will fit my value system in the company.
Yeah.
And almost every question you will ever ask me, I will always go back to the vision, mission, value. I think you hire people on vision, mission, value. You fire people on vision, mission, values. So if you on your company, not necessarily yourself, if your company have a set of values, for example, in my business, knowledge and learning was a big part of it. And if someone doesn't put the effort to learn the new technologies coming in, to learn the new products that came in, that's not the right fit for the business. No matter how good you are as a horticulturist or as a salesperson or whatever position you are in, if you don't have the drive of constantly learning, that is part of our values, that would be a no-go for me. Because eventually it's impacting the customer. Because if this is part of
For
our
sure.
values, this is our promise to our customers, and if we have an employee that doesn't follow those set of values, then that's a no-go. And I personally believe that every single role in your company need to comply with this vision, mission, value, but at the same time, there is different needs for every role, right? You don't always need to have this super ambitious person that work in serving coffee or making coffee, right? You just need them to be very accurate. And so when you hire people, one of the most important thing to do is actually to spend most of your time on getting the job description right. I remember spending sometimes, I don't know, like a week on polishing that, making sure I know what I'm expecting from them, what are they coming to do, what is the job, and then crafting the right ad is the next thing.
That's a great idea. I
Yeah.
think like sometimes the headline is so appealing to see,
Yeah.
oh yeah, marketing specialist. Oh, I don't know, headquarter of something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the job descriptions that says we're looking for someone who see the little details, or to see the ones that see the big pictures, the ones that know how to manage correctly, or the
Yeah.
ones that knows how to present presentations, for example. Those are the little things that make the the
Correct.
change. Yeah.
You know, I used to have a little secret clue in my ads for hiring people. I used to have a document for our vision, mission, value statement.
Okay.
And I requested in the job, in the description of the job, that I want them to tell me if they think that they're a good fit based on our vision, mission, and values. Would you actually be a person that how you align to that? Is that something that and you'll be surprised how many people don't read it. They don't look at it, they apply. And I can understand why, because sometimes you just need to apply for jobs because you need to
get a
money from
job.
central. Like, no, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Like the system in Australia is that you just need to apply for jobs in order to get your dole money, right? So people just apply for jobs just for ticking the box because they want
wow.
to stay on the dole. You get a lot of them when
Didn't
you
know that.
when you put an ad out there. So yeah, so I think in general, if you put a few clues inside your ads, that you know that if the right person will see that and will reply on that in their cover letter, it's a lot easier to then filter through
Right.
the ads, because you
Because
get a lot
people
of
know
resumes.
themselves. People know what's their strengths and weaknesses, and
Yes.
by seeing the description, I agree with you. I could like stay and step back and see,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know how I would like to, I don't know, deal with those like little details. I like to see the big picture, or I don't want to work with people. I thought it's a job for working on the computer all day.
Yes.
And those things are also help the expectations both sides.
Yes.
Because I don't want to come to my first day and to see, oh, it was not what I was expected, but I'm feeling bad to go back now.
Yeah, and I think that's come the second stage. So after you designed what is that job description, what are they actually doing, how do I measure their performance? A lot of the time we have just the wrong KPIs, and then when they come to the job, they do their KPIs. We see that with sales all the time. They're the best salesperson, but everyone hates them, right? Or like no one likes them in the environment, or they bring a lot of toxicity to the workplace. And I think that when you design your values of the business and you design your KPIs or your OKR, we can do a whole episode on that later on. But when you design those, how do you measure people? It's all have to be like a perfect puzzle, like a perfect fit, right? So you know that you evaluate a person on their performance, but also on the values of the company. Do you actually perform them? Did you know that in Australia you can fire people on performance review if they don't adhere to the values of the company? Not necessarily
What
I
does it
don't
mean?
do.
What does it mean? Like resonate with the value of the company?
So
If I don't, for example, if I don't agree with environment change and like I don't know, supporting recycle, is it something that I will?
100%,
Why?
because
If I love, I don't know, the paycheck, and I love
that's why,
the environment, and I don't know, like I have the skills, I have the personality that you're looking for, why is it not a good fit?
because the
Maybe it's
value of
not
the
ideal,
company,
but
and not most companies are like that. A lot of them just put values on the wall because that's what you need to do. But when you understand the secret of how values really growing a business, and the vision and the mission, which is, I think, one of the biggest contributors for growth in a company, that I underestimate myself in the beginning. But I think that if an employee, let's say if in my business it was the knowledge pillar was our first. That was the most important thing. We learn, we share, we inspire. And those three things was across all of the company, no matter if you work in a warehouse, if you're a CFO, if you're working with customers. That's mean that the environment of my team will always be people that thrive for success, that try to figure out how to do things better, that try to, and that's impact the culture. So what happens is if there is someone that is not like that, he can be the best salesperson ever,
Yeah.
but he's not a person that like to learn new things, then eventually that's actually impact on the culture of the company, and then people around him feel like they're being, not having a person that take the same weight. And that's where it starts to impact from a culture point of view. Those people don't fit your company. Doesn't mean they don't do their job properly. They don't fit the culture of the company. So when we used to do our reviews with the
Yeah.
employees, it would be measured on performance of the tasks that you need to do, but also on the culture of the company. And you need to do both. And usually if you have an issue with culture, it means that the person doesn't have enough will to actually be here.
True.
So that's why you don't need him there, because he will do eventually more harm than good. So again, I think in the company you have lots of different positions, and you need to evaluate a person based on what they need to do. But even my warehouse people, that their job was only to package a packet. If their job was to make sure every gardener is a successful gardener, they mean that I need to pack it as best as possible to make sure that it's arriving to the customer, and impact that journey. So even as a small employee, or I don't
Yeah.
know, it's the small is the right definition, but like even if an employee that from you look from the outside is only a warehouse person, no, he actually have a crucial job to do in the customer journey. And if he also be evaluated on the values, it's make a big difference, because the customers eventually is more happy. And the only reason why businesses exist is because he needs,
The customers,
the
for sure.
customers. So the employees is the biggest component in between there.
So I wanted to ask you because, like, obviously, the ideal situation is to find someone who is resonate with the value and has the skills and has the will and all of that. But like in reality, it's really hard to find them.
No.
So how do you know? You say no. You just need to keep looking. You say.
Exactly. I personally think that you better off, and that's a discussion we actually had openly with the team many
Okay.
times.
Tell me.
When we done restructures, or when we had a toxic employee, he can be an amazing person, by the way, but in that
For sure.
environment,
Yeah.
it's me that he was a toxic employee. I will discuss it with the manager, and a lot of the time, the decision will be, and also with the team, to let that person go and carry the weight until we find the right person, versus just keeping him there to fill up the spot. And everyone will chip in to fill up that hole until we're finding the right person. And this is where a good culture coming into place, right? Because people understand the value of having the right person in place, and they understand that bringing the wrong person in going to make more harm than good. They're willing to work harder for a short period of time because it's benefit the company in the long run.
Interesting.
Building this is not easy, right? You need
Yeah.
to it's a big design piece of a culture of a company, but a good company that want to grow like that. If you're a small business, the beginning is to understand what you really need to replace. Do you really need to I was working with a customer the other day that he wanted to just bring an extra admin person. And then I thought, well, you know what? You can actually bring someone that will replace you on the tools, and then you can just do a bit more of the front. So you can always play with it, right? And you can bring someone that can replace you, that you can delegate to, that you can guide to grow and be a copy of you. There's lots of different options out there. You just need to be very clear on what is the job and what does it benefit you and the company. Once you know that, it's very easy to hire, because you write the job ad in the right way, because you know what you're looking for. Writing the questions after that is super easy. Don't go for a template of what you need to ask, the 10 most popular question to ask an employee in an interview. No, actually craft questions that are suitable for your company. Like we had a set of questions that we ask everyone, and then ones that we used to do on the specific roles.
And also
It's really important.
situations that happening during like a day work in his shift, in like his ideal shift, because sometimes I feel like in interview everyone want to everyone want to get the position, and everyone want it to be a successful collaboration, but you don't really understand the struggles or the day life and the day-to-day struggles that happening in this shift. So I think it could be very good if you can tell in the interview, what would you do if tomorrow, I don't know, a customer has come to you and say one
Yeah,
thing,
role play.
a role
100%.
play
Yeah.
that can gives also like expectation of what the day-to-day struggles
Yes.
will be.
Yeah. I will tell you more than that. We used to have the first few hours of an employee was with me to set the expectations from day one, no matter what job they would do. I had this slide I would go through. I will share the history of the company. What is the expectation? What is our value? How do we actually use them in the day to day? And what is the expectation from your role? From that on, it's up to you, right?
Yeah.
And always back up my managers in with anything that, if they don't feel like it was the right
Yeah.
fit.
Okay, so we talked about how to at least know who is the right people,
Yes.
and but how do you let go of people you don't think they're a good fit after you already recruit them?
I think the first thing is, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you know or you have that gut feeling that that person is just the wrong fit, let it go as quick as possible. That seriously, it's not worth it. It's just a waste of time and money. Now, when it's come to long-term employees in business, and I think we should do a whole episode on that too. Roy, you should start writing all of those
Yeah.
episodes ideas on the side. But in business as an owner, actually also as a manager or a leader, you're not their friends. You can have friendly relationship, but you're not their friends. And I think setting the expectations in your head in the beginning, in the mindset that there will come a day. Every time when I looked at a person that came for an interview,
Yeah.
I said to myself, there will come a day that I will need to fire that person. How easy will it be? How will I feel if I do that? And will I be able to do that
Wow.
eventually? And especially when you hire small businesses, do that a lot, hiring friends.
Friends, right?
And I hired one of my best friends still today. He worked for me for 2 years, but I told him in the interview, there will come a day I will need to fire you. How would you react when that happened?
Wow, it's a great
But
question.
and I think it's almost a question you always need to ask.
Yeah.
You always need to actually ask, because then you set the expectations that one day it will happen, right? And the reality is, there will always be an end of the contract. Always. No one stay in a workplace forever unless they work for the government or hospitals or whatever. They usually, like, there is an end, especially with small businesses, it's a quick end. Try to figure out in the interview, how will that end when it's end? There is some people where it's end really badly. And when I looked at it backwards, I thought to myself, I can't believe I actually knew that will happen
Wow.
before I hired him. But it was so good for the job that, I prioritized that versus like the regular traits that you look for in a human. So from that point of view, that. And again, I will say that the easiest ways to fire people is having a value and direction discussion. So, which is, if my company in the next 5 years going to from here to here,
Yeah.
and the whole company should know where the company is heading, right? And you see that the employee is actually going from here to here in many aspects of life, right? Not necessarily in your workplace. And that's why it's so important to speak about what is the employee life goals, hobbies, career goals. And I used to do that all the time, because once you know that, it's the biggest assets you have to create the amazing employees, but also to fire them when needed.
Right.
So the conversation could be, once I had an employee, I loved him. He was amazing. He wanted to be a producer for movies or whatever.
Incredible. So you know
But
what motivate him.
Well, he worked in customer service, right? So you know what motivated him. I try to introduce that. I always try to introduce their hobbies into the culture. So when we used to do things for the team, they will bring something that they love. Like we had one guy likes poker, so we done a poker night. Of course,
I
he won,
like
but at
that.
least he bring himself on
For
another
sure.
level from work, right? So it's important to know these things. And in that specific case, I need to let go of one of my customer service people to minimize that team. And I just had a conversation with him. I said, look, bottom line, you are the lowest performer that we have. But you're an amazing person. So we like you here, right? You bring a lot of good spirit in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really want you now to leave this spot and fly to Melbourne and start chasing your fucking dreams.
Wow.
You're wasting your time here.
Incredible.
Absolutely wasting your time here. And, you know, we both know it's temporary.
Yeah.
So I have the ability now to give you redundancy money. Take it and go and pursue your dreams. And you'll be surprised how after every time when I had conversations like that, they just said, "You're right."
Wow.
So I don't like firing someone doesn't have to be an uncomfortable conversation. It can actually be empowering conversation. Say, this is how I can see you progress. The amount of time I helped people like that worked for me to actually continue with a new career is many times. Because I think that's our jobs as leaders as well, right? Not just fire them and let them go. There were people that I will also fire and close the door and lock everything, right? But they were the wrong hire to start with.
It's a great point,
yeah.
what you said, to understand the personality, hobbies, interest of your employees, so you can also know what motivates them and how to
100%.
talk to them and know what inspires them.
I think many business owners think it's a waste of time, and it's not our jobs to know that. And there is some things that you're not allowed to ask. You know, are you planning on having kids? You're not allowed to ask that question. But at the same time, that's how you're creating an environment where everyone really benefit from working for you, but also everyone know why they are here in the time they are. So even that guy that went to pursue his dreams later on, and he actually moved to Melbourne and done what I told him to do.
Incredible. If you hear that,
Yeah, if you're there, lucky.
message us.
Damn, I just forgot what I wanted to say.
So sometimes business people don't want like
they think like it's a waste of time, but the amount of things that you can really you know, if you know what is the journey of that employee, you can say, you know, I know you're going to be here only for 1 year. Let's make the most out of that 1 year, right? Then you get better output as a employer. Like you get best employees ever when they understand that they know how they progress with you or how they stay in the same spot. Like not necessarily progress, but have their career growth financially with you. But as I said, that's probably a whole new episode of like how to really motivate employees that are already working with you.
A great episode,
because that's an area which is very dear to my heart. But when it's come to firing employees, you always need to do it in the legal way. And if you're a business owner, make sure that you know your fair. Yeah, there is like, I think I've done a whole degree now on HR laws, and I know all the rules ins and out. And it's a very powerful tool to know and to have. And if not, just make sure that you have, like, you hire a HR lawyer to help you with these things, because it can go really ugly really quickly, especially when there is many law firms that their job is to screw employers with the way they always try to find ways to make money for the employees from employers. And that's an area that it's very risky. So you always need to be on the spot with your legal rights and, you know, what the employee rights are, but at the same time you need to learn how to use the human intuition and conversation in order to just finish that relationship in the best way possible.
I love it.
But yeah,
thank you, Shiran. That was so interesting. I hope you had fun. So we'll see you at the next episode with more topics. Please don't forget to subscribe and to comment. What do you think about this episode, and what would you like to hear from us?
Yeah, and I think in general, if you're an employer that you've done something that worked for you, then share in the comments for other people to see. And if you're an employee that you know, want to start your own business and don't understand how hard it is to fire and hire, then this episode is for you too. But there is a lot involved, and it's a fun journey. And regardless what it is, everything you will do, the best hire or the worst hire, it's part of the learning journey of hiring and firing.
Thank you so much.
See you in the next episode. Bye.